Okay, so yes, the next panel session, which will be anchored by Folashade Dine, and the topic is on employability, career growth, and standing out in the tech space. Who wants to stand out in the tech space? Like you want to stand out. Do anybody know Ruth Ikega? Yeah? You see the way she stands out, yeah? So who wants to stand out? Yes. So we have this session coming up, and Folashade will be the moderator. Folashade is a brand storyteller for tech startups, a former veterinary doctor, interesting. Folashade is transitioned into tech as a content marketer in 2020. She has since gone to, please, why is nobody clapping? A doctor, transitioned to content marketing. Okay? She has since gone to work for local and international startups in the AI, data science, investment, crypto payment, and blockchain intelligence space. Folashade is a content creator, YouTuber, a wife, please make some noise, a mom to a star girl, Rere Lolua. Come on, give it up for Folashade. Please come up. With so much joy, with so much joy. Thank you very much.
Hi guys. Can you tell that I'm nervous? Just a little bit. Thank you so much, She Code Africa, for having me here. I'm excited to be in a room full of women that are, you know me now, you know I like to encourage you guys to go all out and chase your career and make better choices. But we are not talking about relationships today. We are talking about how you can stand out, you know, in the tech space. And I'm not doing this alone. So the title for this session is Kusimama Nje. It's Swahili, so don't blame me if I murdered it. So it's basically how you can stand out on employability, career growth, and standing out in the tech space. Okay, so I have a number of speakers with me here today, and they are going to be sharing how they stood out. And I think in between the conversations as well, I'll also touch on how I was able to move from a career in veterinary medicine to what I do now as a content marketer for Web3. Okay, so I have Temia Esther Adebayo. I don't think Temi is here, so I'm just going to be skipping over that. But I have Omar Chioma Mary. She's a software engineer with a focus on DevOps technologies. She previously worked at Microsoft Wikimedia Foundation. You guys should clap. Clap now. And Goldman Sachs. She is a technical writer and co-founder of Arete, a non-profit that teaches tech to young people in underprivileged communities. Omar enjoys reading manga and books, watching anime, and playing outdoors in her free time. She believes in giving back to the community. I mean, that's why she's here. And also whenever she gets the chance. So my next panelist that I'll be inviting, and I want you people to really welcome her so that she will share tips with us. People are not really welcoming them. Okay, thank you. Esther is a content marketer and a multi-niched content writer with several years of experience in churning out award-winning content published on major websites. Her focus is on creating content-focused solutions to bring about brand growth and increase customers for startups. She's a trained employability coach, and she guides young women in making early career decisions and prepares them for their desired career. So you can see why Esther is qualified to sit here today. Okay, so we have Princess. Okay. Olamide, please can you come? Just a minute. Sorry about that, guys. Ogochukwu Umeokafo is currently the Director of Product Management at Yellow Card with over 13 years of experience building, managing, and deploying customer-facing and API-based tech products. She started off her career at InterSwitch, where she managed various products spanning automated collections, disbursement solutions, quick teller VAS services, agency banking solutions, and many others. Please give a warm round of applause for Ogochukwu. Thank you. Okay, so this is a conversation, right? And I want you guys to join us, as much as possible. I'll be sitting with my panelists and asking them a couple of questions. So if you also have questions while we are having our session, just write them down because I'm going to be asking. So let's get into it. Hi guys, I'm so excited to be with you today. Thank you for coming. Yeah, so I'm just going to start. I know I read out their bios, but I would like them to introduce themselves, just to say one or two things about, their career and how they got here today. Okay. So, Ogochukwu, I'd like to start with you, and then we'll go this way. Okay.
Okay, hi everyone. Good morning. My name is Ogochukwu Okafor. I'm currently the Director of Product Management at Yellow Card. Like she rightly said, I started my career at InterSwitch over 13 years ago, and I went from support to being a product manager to being a senior product manager, and it's been a wonderful experience over the past 13 years, honestly, my career. I've met different highs and lows. There have been challenges here and there, and here we are. So I don't know if there's any other thing, but I think that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you, Ogochukwu. Esther, can we get to know you a little bit better?
Okay, hello everybody. I'm happy to be here. I'm Esther Olamoyekun, and I'm an employability coach, and I'm content marketer at Coinerency, which is a crypto exchange startup. And I have been in tech over less than a year. I got into tech this year, and thank you. I think I'm here because I am very, very much focused on helping young people, young women especially, get an early start in their careers. My focus is on students, recent graduates, and, young people who want a very good career for themselves. So, yeah, that's what I do.
Thank you very much for that. Omar.
Hi everyone. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Omar Mboma. I'm a DevOps engineer. I currently volunteer at the Innovation Hub in Unilag. I teach DevOps there and also help them out with some stuff. I've previously interned at Goldman Sachs and Microsoft here in Lagos. I've also worked at Wikimedia. I've worked in various positions, from program manager to technical writer to software engineer, and now a DevOps engineer. So, yeah, I think you could call me a generalist because I also do some I don't know if I'll call it consulting, and I've also worked with some startups before. I believe in giving back to society. That is why my DSC, and from there I just always made myself known, always volunteering for events, always trying to speak, trying to do a lot of things there. And someone eventually borrowed me a laptop, and yeah, that started my career.
Wow. Okay, Esther, have you always been in tech, or did you transition into tech?
Yeah, I am. This is working. Okay, so I got into tech this year, quite accidentally. So I always, thought that, okay, tech is cool, but I don't think there's a space for me in tech. Then, as a content marketer, I got to understand that in tech, there is actually a space for everyone. There is a position for everyone as long as you want to be there. And then the opportunity came, and then I found myself in tech.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Do you want to share how you got into 13 years. I'm just curious to know what the journey has been like.
Okay, so I actually studied electronic engineering in school. And then right after school, I was like, okay, well, I mean, it was funny, like, when I was still in university, I remember seeing an InterSwitch poster somewhere in a bank, and I remember asking myself, can I ever work in InterSwitch? It seems as if it was like a dream, like, oh wow, this is where I would like to work. And then comes NYSC, and after NYSC, I went into job hunting, and of course, had some series of interviews. Some of them I was turned down, and then there was an opportunity to interview with InterSwitch. And then I had my first interview, second, third, and then I got in. It was like, you know how you come into a friend's when you're like, this is like my dream come true. So it was quite exciting because it was tech and that was what I wanted, right? And initially it was like, what's happening here? Everything seemed like gibberish, all the switch and everything seemed like, I mean, it was very new to me. I had no prior experience. But over time I started to learn, and I opened my mind to learning and asking questions. And of course there's something experience does, like when you keep putting your mind at something and focusing on it, eventually you're able to break through whatever barriers there is, right? And that was how, I mean, I got conversant with everything around InterSwitch. And initially I started as a product support personnel in InterSwitch. So I was more like supporting products. And I think that was a big leverage I had towards product management, because I understood customers' issues and complaints and what customers really want. So when I transitioned into product management, it was a lot easier to relate the products that I needed to build, because I already knew some of the concerns based on my prior knowledge of being in support, right? And then I moved, we actually started the maiden version of product management in InterSwitch, I and some other people that were nominated. And then that's how, of course, the career started: product owner, product manager, senior product manager. And then finally, sometime this year, I thought it was time to move to the next step. And then I took on the position at Yellow Card as director of product. Yeah.
That's impressive. Just like hold that. I'm still going to jump on that because I want to ask you a question. But I just wanted to quickly say something touching on. I like how Omar and Ogochukwu. I'm sorry, Ogochukwu. I am sorry. Yeah, I like how Omar and Ogochukwu like had background like in tech, like in school. But for you, that you probably studied microbiology, or you studied English, or you studied veterinary medicine. Like me. It's fine. Let's stop ourselves. I studied vet medicine as well, and I'm not practicing. You might wonder, like, is there room for me? So I used to think that there was no room because I hate mathematics and anything that has to do with coding. So I thought, like, I would never get into it. But like Esther said, even if you can write, if you're a customer service person, if your thing is organizing, right? There is room for everyone. So there is a coding part, I'm sure you guys know, and then there is no. So don't rule yourself out of it just because you can't code. So I just wanted to touch on that. So Ogochukwu, I wanted to ask, so you mentioned that, InterSwitch was like a dream place for you. You wanted to get a job there. Do you think there was anything that happened during the interview process that made you stand out and made them say, we are going to take a chance on Ogochukwu?
I think it was more around the confidence I had speaking. Of course, I had no experience, but you could see the eagerness in me to know things, ask questions. Like, I was desirous of the role, and I made it known. And I was confident in my speaking and in everything I needed to do during the interview, right? And that was one of the things I felt that got me into the role. Yes, I had an engineering background, but in truth, what you learn in school is different from what you see out there. They are two different things. But I had the willingness, and I started to also even read, so get research, understand what InterSwitch was all about. So when questions were asked, I was able to respond, of course, within the level that I was at the time.
Are we taking notes, guys?
Right? So I think that is one thing. If you want to go for an interview, make sure you research the company you are going to interview for. Make sure if it's a product, an app, or if you're into product management, depending on the role you're taking on, just get to understand what they do, what their business model is all about, what they have to offer out there, what value proposition that company brings to the table. It will help you answer questions during the interview and make sense to whoever the interviewer is, because they need to know that you really want to work for them and that you've done your research.
Thank you so much. One thing that stood out from me from what you said is being confident, even if you don't have, experience. Like Audrey said, walk into the room like you belong there, and of course, do your research. Yeah. So I know that you're an employability coach, Esther, and I know that, you teach people like how to be employable. So what would you say what's one thing, I just want you to touch on one thing, would you say a potential employee should focus on so that they can stand out during their interview process?
Okay, so I think it is very important that, we speak in the reality of most of the people in this room. Most people in this room are like young people, students, in fact. And there's a lot of, okay, I've not had any experience, I've not had any achievements. How do I get myself employed? I would say that how you can stand out as an employee by concentrating on what you can do. Ogochukwu mentioned something about, understanding the business model of every organization you are working with. If you want to get yourself employed in, let's say, fintech, for example, okay, how does this organization work? What is their product? What does their product do? What solutions are they bringing? How can I fit myself into that solution model? Envisage yourself into that, that solution process that organization is bringing about. Put yourself there. And, if you are being interviewed, if you are interviewing, if you are applying, focus on how you would help solve that problem they are looking to solve. Focus on your role in solving that problem. And if you have, prior experiences, focus on your achievement. Just don't say, okay, I was a customer success, personnel at this, and I didn't know. What are those things you did differently? What are your achievements? What did you do differently? How did you make that team work? How did you make that role come together? That's how you can stand out.
I think it's very important, especially when you think you're applying for a role you are not so qualified for. It's important to pick on a pain point. When I was applying, I worked for a blockchain company in Canada, and when I was applying, one of the things they mentioned was that they needed someone who could write copy that would convert. So I couldn't do all the things that was in the JD, I will not lie. But you see that one thing I could do, I kept talking about it. Oh, don't worry, I will help you do this, I will do this. And it was something so it wasn't like I was lying. So emphasize on your strengths in solving their problems, because it's about the company, not about you. Thank you so much for that, Esther. So you mentioned, Omar, that you interned at Goldman Sachs, at Microsoft. Those are like big names, right? They're not, small companies. So I want to ask you, what do you think made them give you that opportunity, when they were interviewing you? Goldman Sachs didn't collect me, so why did they collect you? Let us know.
Okay, so for my Microsoft interview, that was like my first real interview. And before Microsoft, I've worked at some other places. I was teaching coding to kids at some point. I was working as a PM at a startup at some point, and the role was for a technical program manager. So what I did was to research on the role. I don't think I paid attention to the job description because I was so scared. I was fretting, and I had to talk with a lot of people. And then they were like, okay, read this book, read that book, let's prepare together. So funny thing was, after all the preparation, the questions they asked me were not really related to what I've been reading about. So they wanted to know about my story and how I could, my way of thinking to solve problems. That was what my entire interview was about. So basically, I took my past experiences and modeled them in a way to show that, okay, if I'm given a problem, this is how I will go about solving it. And I also gave instances of the things I've done in the past. Then for my Goldman Sachs interview, the technical aspects went okay. Then it was the behavioral aspect. So after the routine questions of, how you solve conflict, how you solve this, how you solve that, the interviewers were like, okay, during the interview, you mentioned some specific things about yourself. We find that interesting. Can you talk more about those things? And as I started talking about how I started in tech, how I've organized events for people, the testimonies I've gotten, the man was like, we need to give people like you more opportunity to impact the tech ecosystem. And I think that was how I actually got it.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. I like how it was a story. So don't discredit your experiences. That volunteering you did for an NGO, that internship you had that was just for 1 month. Tell your story, because they want to be able to see that you've done it before and you can replicate it when you're with them. So I'm going to go this way again. I'm going to start with you, Omar. Okay, so I'm just trying to get into tech. I've taken a couple of courses, and I'm like, okay, when am I actually ready, to apply for a job? How does does someone, who is trying to get into tech, how do they know that, okay, finally, you finished your courses on Udemy, you've finished the ones on Coursera, in Jesus' name, amen? Yeah. And so how do you finally know that you're ready? Catch yourself, guys. So, yeah, allow Omar to talk now.
Okay, so I think what I generally tell people, is, I think there's always.
Don't you want to hear when to get your job? Yeah, okay.
Okay, so what I generally tell people is look around for job descriptions of the role that you're applying to. Look at the skills they listed there. For technical roles, try and build at least one project with like each skill listed there. So it can be as simple as you have maybe a crude API that does like get requests, put requests, delete requests. Then you can also design something else or build something else that solves a particular problem. It doesn't have to be something big. All those your to-do apps, all those other things, try adding some functionalities to it that makes it like stand out. And then just apply. So while you're applying, continue taking those courses. Then talk to people around you in your network. Sometimes your friends might be building something, and until you tell them that, oh, guy, Alpha, this is what I do, in case you see opportunities, plug me. Some jobs I got, it's based on people that referred me, like, oh, okay, guy, Alpha, try this girl, see what she can do. And I basically marketed myself to people that, oh, this role I'm looking for, this is what I can do. Go to events, talk to people. And yeah, I think that's it basically.
Wow, that's amazing. So I'm not going to be asking because our time is running out. But I wanted to ask you, Ogochukwu, so you've applied more. Breakfast is just not in relationships. Even in job applications, you can chop breakfast. Like you've gone through 1, 2, 3 interviews, and you think you finally have the job, and you just see the mail. Hello, dear Folashade, we regret to tell you that. What are you guys talking about? So how do you handle that? How do you make that not get to you, that you now say, maybe I'm not for this, and just give up? How do people handle professional breakfast? Yeah.
Okay, I think I experienced a few of it, so I can speak to it, right? So there were times I was applying for international jobs.
Yeah.
And then you will get 1 interview, 2 interview, and at the end of the day, you're wondering, I thought I did so well. I mean, like, why did they turn me down? And it can really be heartbreaking. But that's the time when you need to pick yourself up and ask yourself, what didn't I do right? There must have been something you didn't do right. Maybe you didn't express yourself well. Maybe you didn't convince the interviewer enough to feel that you were capable for that role. So maybe it's time to take a step back and go and do some more research and reading on your particular role. And again, maybe at the time when you were actually taking that interview, you didn't take out time to look out for the job description. Sometimes there are fine details there that we ignore. Sometimes they may say we need this skill and that skill, and you don't have it. And you don't try as much as possible to upgrade yourself to have that skill before that interview. And that's one of the reasons sometimes you get turned down. So make sure you have your acts right.
Yeah.
And make sure you do your due diligence about the company. Another thing is, I can never emphasize the essence of doing trainings and studying and reading and podcasts and everything that has to do with the particular role that you want to take on. So if, for instance, you want to take on an operations role, you need to do certifications to really understand it. Again, the way you do it in your current company, that's if you're somebody that already has experience, might be different from the next company.
Yeah.
What does that company want? What are the competencies they want?
Yeah.
How do I upgrade myself to be eligible to take on that role in those other companies?
Yeah.
Those are the things you need to look out for. Sometimes you think that, oh, you've had 5 experience in this company and 5 years experience, and that makes you capable to take on the next role. But unfortunately, that's not the truth.
Wow.
Because the requirements of those other companies might be quite different from what you have. So you need to come to the place where you're very versatile, where you know what happens here, what happens there, what happens in different, and you can only know that in the place of carrying out research, reading, trying to diversify your learnings and your knowledge to be very broad and wide, so that wherever interview you embark on, when they throw any question in that regard, you're able to respond. Sometimes, in truth, some of the things we respond to is not as if we've done it before. For lack of a better word, we use emoji to say, connect things together, and at the end of the day, it makes it seem as if you've done something wow. All the interviewer is looking for is, how are you able to present yourself? What's the confidence with which you speak? And how are you able to well articulate and convince them that you have done it before and you can do it? That's all they need. I'm not saying you should go about lying. No, don't do that. But find a way to relate your former experiences to what they need. Wow. That way, when you tailor it properly, they're able to see, okay, this person seems to be capable. So most times you're turned down because you're not able to convince them. You have to learn also how to communicate. If you're a shy person that thinks to be dull, I've done a couple of interviews, so I know what interviewers look out for. Yeah. They look out for how confident are you when you're speaking. How are you able to tell them that you can do what you say you can do, right? That only enough is the first, it gives you like 50%. Before even what you say. Yeah. So learn how to be confident in your speech, in what you're saying. Don't say like, I'm thinking. Sometimes you get nervous. I know it happens to a lot of people. But I tell people that interviewing is something that you get better in over time. Yeah. You don't do it once and you get it right. Trust me, the first 5 interviews you take might be a flop. But that shouldn't discourage you. Keep moving. The more you interview, the more you build your confidence, the more you're able to respond to those questions well.
Thank you so much. That was very insightful. Just one final thing, sometimes it's not you, it's them, and it's true. And so just move on to the next person that wants you, right? Yeah, so one final question. So if you have questions, please raise your hand. I just have one question for Esther, and if anyone, I'm just going to take in 2 questions because my time here is up. So Esther, I want you to share one tip that can make someone like more employable. What's like one thing that, someone like a prospective job candidates can do? Like, for example, maybe having a portfolio, being more visible, having a personal brand on social media. What's that one thing that you can like share?
Okay, one thing that I think gets so many people employed or make a lot of people employable is, spreading the noise about yourself and about who you are. Never keep quiet, never
Don't keep quiet, guys.
Don't ever feel like you are doing too much. Trust me, at some point I have felt that way, and I still feel that way sometimes. Don't ever, especially like as women, we tend to feel like that a lot, not even in career, in every other thing. So when it comes to your career, you might feel like, oh, I don't even see guys doing this, so why am I stressed? No, don't ever feel like that. Take up as much space as possible. Sound the alarm about what you do. If you are getting into tech, for example, and you're just taking courses, and don't feel like, okay, I'm just at the beginning, there is nothing to say. No, tell us.
Okay.
Everybody, I am learning CSS. Everybody, I am learning this.
About
say it. Just, make the noise. Let everybody know. To the point that where people see a certain, thing about front-end development, for example, and the next thing they think of is you. Let's get to that point.
Be that visible. I love it.
Be that very, very visible. Yeah. Never like try to dim the light on what you do or what you want to be.
So shine, basically, guys, shine. Don't think you're doing too much. So I have 3 questions.
Let me say one final thing. And just to touch on what she said, creating visibility is very important when you're looking for a job. It's extremely important. You see, LinkedIn is a big tool that you can use to get yourself a job. Create lots of visibility on LinkedIn. Make sure your CVs are up to date. Make sure your CV is like, learn how to put all the funky things in nice ways and speak the big English. Not that you're talking out of point, right? But make it sound like you know what you've done and put it down in writing well. In a way that anybody that looks at you will say, I think this person is employable, because that's the first step. You're selling yourself. When an employer reaches out and says, send me your CV, they either that's the first failure point or the first point to move to the next level, which is even getting yourself an interview. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Do you want to say something? Okay, so I have the questions here, and I'm just going to be running through them. So someone says, how do you handle imposter syndrome? Particularly the feeling that you are not capable of delivering what a job description requires. Who wants to take that? Imposter syndrome, I think everybody has, felt it.
So at my internship at Goldman Sachs, one of the requirements was, for my team personally, was Java. I have never written Hello World in Java before. I'm a Python person, Python Flask. And I told my manager, like in the first meeting, I went straight, I said, I really do not know Java, but I am willing to learn it. And he said, yeah, that's fine. That's fine, you can join the team. And the man also said that he looked at my resume. He saw I did not have any Java experience, but he still brought me on. And then the next thing I did was to start taking courses in Java. Then even at the office, I was always asking people that, so this is how it went. So they asked me to do a task to build an API. And I said, if it was in Python, this is what I would have done. I would have written maybe a for loop that does this in Python. And I wrote out my Python code for X in whatever. And then they were like, okay, that's fine. Now do it in Java. And it gave me opportunity to ask people around, go to Stack Overflow. So most times, whenever my colleagues see me, they always know that, yes, today, Oma is going to ask me questions on Java, and I have to answer her. Yeah. Or I use Stack Overflow. So you cannot know everything. Even in DevOps, I'm teaching, yeah? There are questions my students ask me, and I tell them straight out that I don't know it. Let's check Google. And we read the solutions together. We search through everything together. Yeah. So do not let the fact that you don't have some skills stop you from applying. Apply. Okay. Do the interview. Okay. Tell your manager, I don't have it, but I'm willing to learn it.
Okay. So the next question, I'm going to be giving it to Yogochukwu. She says that, it's a she. We are all she's here. I am aspiring edtech specialist looking at developing the educational system, but my age limit and lack of connections with the right people seem to pose as an issue. I am passionate about this space and I want to make an impact. So basically what she's asking about here is her age limit. She thinks she's too old or too young. I don't know. I don't know who this person is, and lack of connection. So how do you think this person can get past the age limit and connections that they do not have?
Okay, basically, I will guess she's too old. I don't know, maybe. Or maybe she didn't have experience in that field on time. I think you need to start building up yourself to make yourself sellable and employable. So I don't know it's not quite clear the level of experience she has or if she has ever been in that industry before or not. If you've not been in that industry before and you want to veer into that industry, you need to start understanding what the industry is all about, reading about that industry, taking courses on that industry, trying to bring yourself up to the point where you can take on that role. The truth of the matter is that sometimes what you experience is always better than reading up, but it's a starting point. Okay. You can get a mentor to guide you through. You can get somebody in that field that you can have the regular one-on-ones that can help set up a project for you to take on and maybe guide you through some steps that can give you the confidence to be able to put some things in your CV, extra things that I've done XYZ things and sell yourself.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm cutting you short. I think we have just about 1 minute left. So this person, I'm just going to take this directly because I can relate. The person says I'm 27 years old. I'm currently learning front-end development. I think I got into tech really late, more related to what you mentioned. And sometimes I feel like I can't make it a year from now. What do I do? Simple answer. I am 27 years old. Yes, I turned 27. And I have less than 2 years, more like 2 years experience in the content marketing space. Don't let age stop you. The people I work with, they are Gen Zs. 19 years. My boss just turned 20 in Joku Emmanuel. So don't let that stop you. If you don't start now, in the next 3 years, you're going to be 30 and you will still not have become the front-end engineer. Do you understand? Thank you so much, guys. Oh, sorry, please let me just say thank you. I have to be polite. Thank you, Ogochukwu. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Omar. Thank you. Give them a round of applause, guys.